Yeah, man. Yeah, man. What's going on? Yo, what's going on? Surprise live stream, I guess. I did make a post about it, and I'm not going to stay on long. I guess it's just kind of been lately doing live stream rather than regular videos. So I want to talk about it. The title of this is Gangstalkers Love to Hurt People with Broadcasts. And there was a few times, uh, quite a few times, uh, last night, overnight, and lately where yeah, man, let me do that again since I just saw my counter reset to zero. Um, okay, I guess I'm live now officially. So um, it's been a theme lately going live instead of doing regular videos, but I'm sure I'll start doing regular videos again too. Um, anyway, so the title is Gang Stalkers Love to Hurt People with Broadcast. And I'll just talk about that for a few minutes. One of the things that's been happening quite frequently lately, overnight, all night, every night, and every day, all the time, really, especially when there's anything going on that is positive for you or is negative for them or can be looked at in any kind of manipulative way of somehow being something that they can get you back for. This is really like the gang stalker mentality. It's like if they feel like they want to punish you for something, it can even be something that you're thinking privately. And I have some pretty strange thoughts about what I would like to see happen to them. But anyway, last night, man, they were attacking my look. I'll talk about the embarrassing stuff first. They were attacking my genitals a lot. They've been attacking my abdomen a lot. So I'll wake up and like all in this area, there'll be like a strip of like super hot area and I'm just like keeled over. And there's no physical condition that would cause your skin to lay some broadcast over on you. Another crazy thing going on that something that they've done in the past, but it's not a typical thing that they've done lately, is going into my ears with broadcasts. And so I'll have on headphones or like I'll have on these like, those rubber gloves like that everybody was wearing around uh the thing that we had last year or last in 2020. And like nurse gloves or something or doctor gloves. I'll have on some of those gloves a lot, like if I'm out in workplaces and stuff like that. And so I don't want to stick those gloves in my ear, and I'll have on headphones too. And so they start going in my ear with stuff like with their broadcasts. And it's like I have to really completely redo everything, take off the pull my headphones off and like try to do like this in my ear and then recycle everything. I know that's like that sounds so crazy to talk about somebody going in your ear with a broadcast. I know what it sounds like. I'm not concerned obviously, at this point with how it looks to other people when I make these videos and talk about it. I'm just merely documenting what the things that they do to me, and that is one of the things that they do to me. Along with my left knee, my feet, they like to attack like my left knee, my right foot, my abdomen, and my neck right here. So it's like somewhere around, all around, they're always doing some sort of violent attacks. And what for what? What's the point? They just want to hurt you and they want to feel powerful, I guess. It's like the only power they would ever have in their life. They're never going to be a big boss. They're never going to be the smartest person. They're never going to run some company or some operation. They're never going to be anybody special. So this is the best that they have. It's the best that they have. It's the best opportunity they have to have some power. And of course, somebody that's never going to have any power and doesn't deserve any, is not competent enough to that would ever have any in a normal circumstance. They're going to abuse it. So that's what they do. They abuse the power. Um, you know, I'll talk about like their settings. And when I say their settings, like I imagine it being like where they go on broadcast and they have a character. Okay. And that character can be like themselves, a representation of themselves, or they could be like uh, some uh, some sort of extra like avatar type of thing. Maybe they purchase those, like like you would purchase a character in a game or like a spaceship in a game, or some kind of something, some kind of special character. Okay, so they can broadcast as some special character. Maybe they buy or pass around different scripts or codes for like applications. And when I say applications, like an app, like it could be like a voice setting or anything. I got one of them that always screams and this like girl voice setting, and it's like a broken voice, not even a horror scream. It's just horrid. It's disgusting, really, and it's very annoying. And I feel like want to do that to annoy me. At the same time, I feel um like I don't know, man. It's really strange that they do that, and the crazy part is like I think something, like something will cross my mind, and it'll be something where they feel like they've just received something significant, I guess, and they'll just "Ah!" bust out in this like cracked up girl voice screaming like as a reaction to my thought, and it's so annoying. But like the thoughts that overwhelm me at that point are like, God, you're so dumb, you're so disgusting, you're so stupid. Why are you here? And imagine like they're just here. They're here. They're they're on your neural monitoring, forcing themselves upon you, being involved with your life. Like I make these little songs, like little jingles. I'd be like, I need to be a part of your life, and like I think that, and I'm thinking it about them, like they need to be a part of my life, like they need some attention. Like I need some attention. I need to be part of this. I'm obsessed. Like that's okay. Enough about their mental disorders. Do you think they're looking through your eyes? That's the question in the comments. If you guys got any, I see it's only like six of you guys real early in the morning. On the East Coast, on the West Coast, it's like middle of the night, I guess. But they don't see through your eyes, and that's what a lot of people say. They see through your eyes. Now, hear me out, because they do see what you see, but they're not seeing through your eyes. So yes, they can see what you see, and yes, they can see you. And there's a few different things about that. So when they see what you see, like if they're connected to you and they're receiving you, so they're receiving your neurological processes. So they're not seeing like what your eyes see, they're seeing what your mind interprets from your eyes, because they're receiving your neurological processes. So for example, if you close your eyes and imagine something, they see that. So they could see your imagination or your actual vision or a dream, anything like that. So they see what your neurological process is. They receive that into their mind. It's like they thought it or saw it themselves. So it's not that they like actually see through your eyes. And I've seen people like saying that they want to, get some kind of surgery, or people want to dig in their eyes, or so like get the micro cameras out of their eyes. And it's not any of that. They can see what you see from your neurological process. If you close your eyes and imagine something, they can see that too. Good morning. Good morning from the comments. Yeah, they see what you see, but not directly through your eyes like that. And if they're talking to you, then test them out. Close your eyes and think of a pink elephant and watch them. So one of these idiots will say pink elephant, and they feel like they're doing something when they've said that. It'd be like me looking at this screen saying, "Look, there's Kevin. Oh yeah, look at me. I've got the power. I can see something." Right? It's a technology. They're not special. They're not special at all. Um, yeah. So but they know what you're thinking. You don't have to say it. You don't have to say, like, if you wanted to communicate, like if they're talking to you, and you wanted to communicate something to them, just think it. And you'll notice that sometimes you start like drifting off into your own thoughts, and sometimes it'll be about what you'd like to see happen to them, and it makes them angry. It makes them angry. Um, I'm just blown away by how they haven't lost interest in me and watching my every move and worried about my every thought. And like, how's a grown man sitting somewhere, um, paying attention to me for all this time? It's insanity. It really is. But it's a testament to their intellect. It's what it really is. Because that I'm not that interesting. Not to sit there and decide that your life and your future doesn't mean anything. All you care about is watching me and worried about what I do, worried about how many hours I worked or what class I'm doing good in or who I'm talking to or what my plan is for this or that, or if I made $20 on a stock trade or something like that. Just worried about these little details of my life. How do you cope? Do you drink or smoke? Try not to do anything. And it comes with time, really, I guess. In the beginning, it was very difficult for me. And I think the thing that made me want to cry the most was when I realized that they knew what I was thinking. Because especially in the beginning when they haven't blown their cover yet, because you'll have like some that are like um, skilled at what they do, and they're putting out these live streams and doing these shows about your life and their interactions with you, and so they're trying to create content that's marketable to other people that have neural monitoring that they can say, hey, look at this guy that I've been looking at, and look at this whole scene or whatever, and people will start signing on to their live streams and stuff like that. And um, yeah, when I realized that they know what I was thinking, that's when quite a few of them went away. Quite a few of them went away at that point, and the dumb ones that want to brag about it, they stayed. They want to sit there and talk trash and bask in the power that they have over you, and try to act like they're somebody special because they can do this. One of them just always says, "I can do anything I want. I can do anything I want." That was his famous words for a long time. I'm like, yeah, okay. So I see that you can do anything you want. Um, but yeah, it's definitely difficult to deal with. That was the hardest thing for me for me to get past was because your deepest darkest secret. It's like, and you can't control when like some memory of something comes across your mind, and then they know it. Then they know it. And it's almost like you have to try to start to come up with ways to remember something that didn't happen, and then be able to pretend like a real memory that you don't want them to know is one of those instances. It's like all of these tactical thought processes that you have to start to try to implement because of um, trying to keep them from really just knowing. But they know, and after a while, you just get over it, and then you don't care, and then you start to realize how dumb they are because of their obsession. But there is no deep dark secrets, and people talk about the memories, like, oh, they can dig through your memories, and they can see all your memories and go in and brain mapping. That's one of the terms you'll hear going around the targeted communities, brain mapping. So where they can see all your memories and all this, and that's not true. It's not true. Maybe they can go back on your neural monitoring and see some events that happened or something like that, especially if you were being targeted, watch somebody else's live stream about it or something like that. But as far as like a deep, long ago memory of yours, they don't know that. They can't dig into some brain map thing and find that. They know it when you think it. They know it because you thought it at some point and they were paying attention. They were connected to you at that point. And so then they know it. Okay. But they only know what you're thinking or what you have thought when they were connected to you at some point. But if you never thought about it in your whole life or since they've been around, they won't know that. Um, let's see. I hear you stay sober because it all makes it worse. It's that's the truth. If you want your life to be good, I mean, look, I'm not against somebody uh, smoking a J or drinking or whatever. Um, I used to have this theory like that. If you're not addicted to anything, that the recreational use of things it's not so bad really. Um, but as far as like spreading the word, I would say stay off of everything, and you're going to be better off because um, it just all leads to a lot of times it leads to bugs flying around. It leads to negative impacts on your life overall. And so set goals and try to make accomplishments and realize what's the most important to you, and time, time and your people, time and people. So don't waste time, getting wasted all the time or being addicted, and take care of your people, reach out all the time and stay close to your close people. I'm not saying every person, I'm saying you got some close people and they matter, and um, don't wait till you're 50 years old and then decide that, oh, these people are important, because then they're not going to care what you think at that point. And just because you decide one day that it's important doesn't mean that they're going to agree at that point, because you've decided suddenly that it's important to have good relationships with your close people. So I know with the gang stalking, it can come in between you and your family, and then nobody believes you, and it's hard to make people understand what you're talking about. And because it's hard, if you've never experienced this, then you're not going to really understand. But uh, it's just it's overall, it's not that important. And even the technology and the neural monitoring and all that, it's just not that important. I know they can do stuff to us, and to them it's like their life, it's their gang stalkers. But um, if you really got the right place, like it's overall, it's not that important. Sure, I'd love to have it. I'd turn everybody off and probably move on with my life. And I'm sure I know that there's plenty of positive ways you could use it, and positive like benefits it could have on what for your life. But no, no way am I gonna worry like it's the most important thing. Like I can't move on with my life. Um, if they want to sit here and watch me uh, have the best life, knowing that their life sucks that bad because all they do is watch me, then go right ahead. Their day's coming anyway. Um, Usually it's never uh, ever good stuff, is it? They always hate on good thoughts, actions, and put down everything you do. They'll punish you because I feel like it's jealousy, um, envy, and jealousy, and that they're not doing it, um, and it makes them look bad. When they're doing what they do, and you're making all kinds of progress, and you're just like a good person, cool person. Um, people like you. You're having success. They hate every minute of it, and I'm gonna make them hate it a lot, because that's my intentions and my goals, is to have good relationships and enjoy my time in life, and have success, and the finer things, I guess you could say. Meanwhile, as long as they've prioritized me and paying attention to me for their life and their activities, then they're going to be resentful and bitter about it. And so I expect that the broadcast torture and stuff like that will continue. But it's making them look bad, though. It really is. Um, do you have internal visions where you can see things, but it's in the mind? Do they manifest to you in your imagination? Okay, I know what you're saying. So when they get on um, broadcast. Okay, so they put on a thing like it looks like a EEG thing. It was very minimal, almost like a little skull cap, but it's got these little knob things on it, like it's like emitters, and it usually like you can see their ears, but it's like straps around their chin, and I've seen some of them with like the covers that go over their eyes. Anyway, so they're receiving you. Okay, but this thing that they're wearing is like it amplifies, it makes it comprehensive for them. And for us, we're just like, that was strange. Why did that just go across my mind? But um, don't doubt your intuitiveness, I guess, because you are receiving them too. Okay, it's a connection. They're unconsensual, but it is a connection, and it's a two-way connection. So just like they're receiving you, you can also receive from them, because they're connecting you neurologically um, through your neurological frequency, like your EMF signature um, frequency, like your neurological frequency, and they're making that connection. And it's, of course, uh, satellite assisted or electronically assisted, but still that's what it is. And so if you connect with somebody, then you're going to receive them too. And a lot of people have reported that kind of thing, and I've had those experiences too, where not only visions, but just like thoughts in general, or like it's a two-way connection. And um, it's not comprehensive for us like it is for them, because we don't have control of the settings and we don't have the equipment and all of those things, but it does exist for us to. And it takes some time to start to distinguish the difference. Like if something weird crosses your mind and you know that's not your thought, um, to understand that that was them, or that it was a particular one of them. If you get the same ones that stay for a long time, it can get even like that, where you know that, out of these three guys, it was that particular one. Like, I know what you just thought. Yeah, you can definitely get that. So yeah, it's a technological marvel, really. Greetings from Germany. What's up from the United States? I am part German. My grandmother lived there in Munich, and she came out of the bomb shelter, and their house was gone, and somehow they knew somebody, and they got over here, and that was it. So yeah, I am part German. Right. Morning, Kev. Matt from New York. What's going on, bro? That's one place I haven't been. I've been a lot of places over the past few years: Chicago and LA and San Francisco and Seattle and uh, Dallas and a lot of different cities over the last couple of years. Spent a lot of time in all of those cities, but New York is on my list. Um, but a lot of times I'm working when I go to these places, so I'm kind of waiting if they're going to send me there, or if I'm just going to go there on my own. One thing about New York, I was reading something yesterday about some of the largest cities in the world, and unfortunately, it's like this whole thing with the media, but there's this big misconception. Okay, and if you're from America, then you think the rest of the world is like some kind of uh, primitive straw hut jungle out there, and and it seems to me, my perception, like people from around the world think that somehow over here, like we're living like royalty and everybody's famous and rich and all this stuff, and it's just not. None of those things are the truth. And America is just like everywhere else, I think, in a lot of ways. And we're not rich over here, and we struggle just like everybody else. And our governments are ridiculous, and there's all kind of stupid things going on, and we worry about all of the things like the rest of the world. And I know that the rest of the world is very advanced technologically and rich, and or there's plenty of places that are well off, and but it's almost like this perception that that the media has embedded into our minds over time, that um, that America's like the best place to be, and maybe it is. It may still be the best place to be as far as like a lot of things, but the freedoms are going away more than ever before, and um, the tides do seem to be changing a little bit. And I was reading this thing about the biggest cities in the world, and New York was like not even on the list of like the top 30 cities, like the biggest cities with the most people and everything around the whole world. And there wasn't a single one of them from the United States. New York wasn't even one. And New York is our biggest city by like double. Like it's like New York is like double what like Chicago is, and Chicago is like double what Atlanta or Seattle or LA or something is. So it goes New York, Chicago, and then a bunch of other ones that are big. But we just don't even really make the top 30. New York ain't even in the top 30, and it's our biggest city. Uh, let's see. I saw my neurologist last week. A follow up from last summer. I need to start being mindful of blood pressure now. Yeah, that's definitely one that'll kill you. The blood pressure will kill you. So yeah, pay attention to that one. Um, but I was talking to somebody. I'm no doctor, okay, but I was talking to somebody recently, and they said that the doctors always tell them to take this blood pressure medicine, and they finally quit taking it, and their blood pressure went down a little bit. And you know, take care of yourself and find good doctors and do what you need to do to stay alive. But high blood pressure is definitely bad. I know people that are close to me that have completely died from having high blood pressure. Died instantly when they seemed to be very healthy. They had high blood pressure though, at a pretty young age. So, but at the same time, you always got to be skeptical about the pharmaceutical thing that's going on, especially here. Like they're pushing that stuff. It's the biggest scandal. You know, I feel like they're pushing that stuff really hard, and they want everybody to be on everything. And so it's, um, you know, you just got to watch out for all that, I guess. Um, JD here from Boston. I haven't been there yet either. Um, I'm actually, I don't usually say the places that I'm going until after I'm gone, um, but I am supposed to be spending some time pretty soon in um, Columbia, South Carolina, and somewhere in New Jersey. I'm not even sure where, because there's a couple different places up there where they may send me. But I'm from Atlanta, so I'm actually here in Atlanta now. I haven't been home very much for the past few years, but I've spent most of my time out there everywhere else. But I'm from Atlanta and I'm here in Atlanta now. Nah, LA is bigger than Chicago. I've been to LA and I've been to Chicago. Look it up. Maybe population, yes. Um, but as far as like buildings, like even Atlanta's, I think is bigger than LA. I drove through LA probably 6 months ago. Drove through Beverly Hills and Bel Air and went out to Venice Beach and spent the day out there, watched the sunset. And you know, I was out there for maybe a month, probably a month in that area. Uh, so yeah, I know it's big. It's a big city, and it's probably in the top five or something. But population wise, uh, it may be up there. But Chicago is really big, and when you see like the stretch of super tall buildings in Chicago, it's metropolis. Like the only thing bigger than that is New York, and it's like in Atlanta or most of these cities that you feel like are big cities, the tallest buildings are like 40, 50, 60 stories, you know, even Atlanta. And we're like one of the biggest cities, you know, and but the tallest buildings are still only like probably 50 or 60 stories. And when you go to somewhere like Chicago and you see these 110-story buildings from a distance, it just looks fake from the distance you see it. And it's like, it don't even look real because it's so crazy looking. Um, I'm gonna get a move on. Okay. All right, Danny. Appreciate you watching, man. Good talking to you. I'll see you on the next one. Um, yeah, so I got 18 of you guys in here now. Anybody else got any questions? Because I really wasn't planning on staying on too long. Um, yeah, a lot of you didn't hear. I started the video because they were attacking me pretty bad. They're like going in my ears with stuff, and like my left knee, they get like into the veins right here or something, and I know that's like because they talk trash while they're doing it, and then I can put this super bright flashlight on there, and it'll instantly miraculously be better. And then they'll try to hit it at the perfect times when it's like when they're trying to cause a disturbance and whatever I got going on. They've been attacking my genitals with broadcasts a couple times pretty severely. That's when I made a post, uh, maybe 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. I was like live stream at 7, and I was a little late this morning, but they don't like it when I do stuff like this. When I do live streams, especially the last one I did, um, I started talking about things that they don't like people to know about, like um, a lot of stuff about how it works and the EMF setups and different things about, excuse me, physics computer science and different things. They don't like all of those things becoming part of the conversation with us because they like for us to just think that it's sorcerers and their magic and they sold their soul and all this stuff, and that's fine. But the reality is the reality. So, but if you didn't get a chance to check that last live stream out, there was some good stuff there too. But um, punish us, man. They punish us for everything that we do. Uh, it's a chat bot, not people harassing. It's funny because in the last video, that's one of the things that I was talking about. How some people say that it's a chat bot, um, but yeah, it's not. It's people. It's definitely 100% people that do neural monitoring. Okay, and I've encountered some of them in ways you wouldn't imagine. And I guess it's chat bots doing street theater too, right? And chat bots attacking people with broadcasts. And um, no, these are real people. They have neural monitoring, and they're not secret government agents either. Okay, some of the whoever's targeting you, if anybody, it's probably somebody that knew you or knows the person who knew you that decided that they wanted to get a hold of your neural monitoring and your profile based on your neurological frequency and start to attack you or harass you or know things that they shouldn't know about you and all of that kind of stuff. Uh, Damn, it's straight sun up where you're at. I'm on the West Coast and the sun is starting to come up. Yeah, yeah, we've been talking about that. It's yeah, I'm in Atlanta, and it's about what 8:20 here. So I guess it's been daylight for maybe an hour and some hour and a half, something like that. Good morning. Um, but yeah, it's super early out there on the West Coast. But yeah, we've been talking about that for the last little while. Um, Anyway, guys, I worked all night, so I'm gonna get some rest, and I got some plans later on. But uh, just continue to keep up with. I'll put out more live streams, and you guys communicate with each other. Um, we got to stick together and stay reasonable. Okay, everybody you see out there is not involved, and there might be quite a few of them, but it's a, a far stretch from everybody. Very small percentage of people that have neural monitoring and do this kind of thing, and even smaller percentage of them are gang stalkers. Okay, so um, and be reasonable when you're thinking about like what is it? What it's not sorcery, it's not aliens, it's not the FBI. It's these people are they're I don't know, man. They're idiots, man. They really are idiots to become gang stalkers and to use this technology the way they do it. How long have you been dealing with gang stalkers? Um, Everything I have became hacked, or everything I had at the time became hacked in 2013. Somebody that I was very close to around that time had started to get into um, learning how to have and keep neural monitoring, like suddenly um, signing on to remote servers and having hosting packages and using virtual devices on like a virtual Android on their iPads, stuff like that. And a few other people that I was involved with had the same kind of thing going on. I didn't know why at the time, and I didn't know what targeting was. I'd never heard of neural monitoring. I just knew all of my stuff started to get hacked, and this was in 2013. It's probably been longer than that, but that's when um, it's been going around for way longer than I'm sure, but not way longer as far as publicly, but it's been going around for a while. But it was probably 2014 and 15 when it started to get more serious. And 15 is probably when it became like full time. So the first 2 years was like everything was hacked. They were attacking me, but I didn't understand that that's what it was. I didn't know why I was getting these sharp, burning, shocking pains randomly. I didn't know why every time I walk out the back door, I would hear a car squeal coincidentally for, days and days and weeks and months every single time. The biggest coincidence you ever imagine. I didn't know why I would see the same uh, street theater type stuff. I didn't even know what street theater was. I didn't know it was a such thing. It was just coincidence and strange to me back in 2013. All my stuff was hacked. And then when they started talking, um, that's when it really got, crazy, and they kind of blew their own cover. But at first it was a few people on there that were just doing like making content, doing live streams, but they weren't letting all the secrets out. And then the idiots that started letting all the secrets out, um, they came on more like 16, late 16, and they're the ones that haven't left. That's when all the rest of them started leaving. Um, the gang stalkers that are more about uh, putting out the content, like when you're trying to figure it out and everything. Well, once you've kind of figure it out, and then it starts to just be this stupid, repetitive thing, and a lot of broadcast torture and that kind of stuff. That's the idiots that they don't leave. They just sit there and they love the power and they love to be able to hurt you, and they have the psychological problems. Um, Family issues, man. No, I don't have family issues. Uh, I mean, of course, becoming targeted and trying to explain to people that this is what's happened to you, that's going to cause some family issues. Um, I wouldn't expect people to believe you if you're trying to explain it. I wouldn't believe anybody. Somebody tried to explain something like this to me, and I had never experienced it. I wouldn't believe them. Um, I wouldn't. I really wouldn't. But uh, it does get to a point where people start to realize, like, yeah, that might really be true, because obviously this person's not crazy, and they're talking about some crazy stuff, but I don't talk about it with anybody in public or person, only on here. That's it. And I quit trying to explain it to people 7, 8 years ago, and you know I I'm perfectly fine with them finally realizing it whenever they do and saying, "Wow, you were for real about all of that. I can't believe it." And I'm not even gonna be mad at them for not believing me in the first place. Best regards from UK. Appreciate you watching. Um, we all love the UK accent over here in the US. For real, for real. This is actually the first time YouTube has informed me about your live stream. Yeah, it's pretty strange that if I showed you my analytics, all right, um, my channel went like, it started out kind of like flat, and then it started growing, and suddenly it just went whoosh, like, and it went so straight up with like getting subscribers and views and everything. It went so straight up, it almost looked like it was about to turn around backwards. The way the line went straight up, and then since then, the strangest thing though, it started just kind of filtering back down and down and down. Not subscribers. The whole while the subscribers were going up. But when I had 2 or 3 thousand subs, um, I was getting way more views than I would get now, with 11,000 subs. So I'm fairly certain that something's going on either with the algorithm, where because Google in general, I think they're like um, I'm not going to comment too much, but if you look at like who they support and who their agendas and stuff like that, like, doesn't surprise me. And I'm not saying also that the gang stalkers wouldn't have something to do with it, because they may have something to do with it too, because they're all into all of our stuff like that. And it's not good for a lot of people or entities, or maybe even like government or anything. It's not good for a channel like this to grow exponentially. It's better, for something like this to be on the hush hush. And so it wouldn't surprise me if it was suppressed. Um, Even though the subs continue to rise, and they've always risen at a very steady, stable rate. Three, four, five, six, seven, maybe even 10 people a day, but on average, about maybe 5 people a day for 8 or 9 years every single day. and that's how we get to this point. So, but the views, we don't get that many views on here, and I don't promote it or do anything like that, um, but you would think that it would be different than that, but it's not. It's not why I do it, so it doesn't concern me in the least. Um, yeah, I'm pretty sure Half Brothers involved when I was in the I don't know what the hypnagogic hypo I don't know what that word is, bro. You got me. State just before sleep. Um, Johnny, get off my channel. Um, if they have somebody on neural monitoring, they can use that person's voice as a setting. Okay. Um, it if you've dealt with them a lot, then you can tell when they're using voice settings. But I've experienced personally them using settings of people that I know are not gang stalkers. So so you have to be careful. I'm not saying that your half brother's not part of it, but what I'm saying is um, just because they said that in that voice setting. And by the way, that half sleep subconscious state that you're talking about would it was going to allow you to receive in a more comprehensive way. Um, that's how they mess with your dreams so much because when you're in that state, like you're more receptive to that kind of thing. I think it's because like you're not paying attention to everything that's going on and processing the world as an awake person. Your mind is clouded. Okay, but when your mind is clear, then you can receive and in a more comprehensive way the things from broadcast. But and it may have been your half brother, or maybe your half brother's also targeted. So that's for you to decide and figure out though, because nobody else can help you with that one. Um, uh, I think if you use the algorithm to your advantage, you'll grow exponentially. Um, maybe, maybe so. Um, the videos now are probably better than they were back then. Um, and back then, I was probably more like, um, it was all like crazy and new, and I was talking a lot more crazy. I used to be angry. Yeah, I mean, I guess I used to. It was probably less informative, although I used to say a lot of stuff. Like now, I kind of hold back, not on like information that might help you guys, but like I used to just come out and talk about the people and all the crazy situations that were going on and all that's not going on anymore so much as far as like my life's very calm and I still got a few idiots that won't go away that blah blah all day, but um, and maybe that's why I don't really know the reason, and I'm sure there's probably things I could do, um, but I get plenty of views. I got millions of views on the channel, and so like I said, it's not why I do it. If I was doing it to try to as like to try to make it my job, then I would try to push things a little more and probably spend more time doing videos and all of that. But I'm not really concerned. I mean, people that want to know, they always find my channel, and when they do, they understand that I know what I'm talking about, and they're glad they found the channel. And if you look through the comments, you'll see that every day. So I know I'm doing the right thing with all of that. You ever think you're fully controlled? No, not at all. They can't control you. Okay. Um, no more that I can control you by sitting here saying something to you. Okay. And it can have a greater effect than a typical influence. Okay. But and they can make things seem different than they are. Okay, but overall, you think for yourself, and even if you're receiving them, you can still decipher that um, you're making your choices in life. Okay, so they can't, as far as I know, as far as my experience, I don't think that they can fully control you. They definitely don't fully control me, or control me whatsoever. Not even in the slightest. They don't control anything I do or anything I say. Um, Although sometimes when I'm relaxed, I feel like they make me like snap my jaw, like they're trying to like damage my teeth or something, you know. So maybe on a some sort of subconscious level, or maybe if they put one of those things on your head, that they wear, and but they want to be controlled, and like when they connect to people, they want to be mind controlled. They want to receive you, and like you might notice if you deal with them every day, you might notice that they like to say what you're thinking, or sometimes they'll like to talk along with you. Like to let their mind be taken over. Um, but as far as that, like I don't have the settings or the equipment, and I don't think that I would like that anyway. I like to be myself, and I'll act out my own person as myself. I don't need to be somebody else, and but it seems to like that's what they love sometimes. Um, I've asked him openly if this was before I knew anything, and he seemed so offended. Uh, I lost track of that conversation you guys are having. It makes me believe it's friends and family. So you attack, yeah, they will try to make you believe it's friends and family. So because it further isolates you, okay, and you'll hear about some things like from some people like a rare case, but in general, overall, like if they're targeting me in a way like a full blown targeting where they're talking and attacking and doing like the full blown thing, even street theater or anything, like where they follow you around, all of those things. If they're doing that to me, then it's very unlikely that they're going to do that to anybody that's very close to me, because that gives me credibility, and that gives me um, like a an ally against them, somebody else that knows for sure that this is happening to me, and they know because they also have had that same experience, and they won't do things like to your close family or your close people usually, because they don't want you to have that credibility. They want to destroy you, want you to think it is your family, and so you can just they want to influence you to destroy your own life. Okay, and that's like they want to push you. Uh, they want to talk you into jumping off the cliff. That's what they want, and then it's you doing it, but it's like, why are you doing it? And you're gonna what? You're gonna tell everybody that it's because these people, these that you can't see, are talking to you. And yeah, I mean, the gang stalking in general is designed to exploit the system, the neural monitoring system, okay, to make us look as crazy as possible. Predatory neighbors can influence your dreams, make strange noise on shared walls or outside by your windows. Uh, it doesn't necessarily have to be somebody on a shared wall. For example, they used to do this thing, uh, like when it was real bad. They used to do this thing where they would use sounds, and like I told you, they would make this car squeal noise every time I used to walk out the back door. And it was consistent, like it always did it. And then later on, some years later, once I knew that I was being targeted, they had started talking and all that. I would go out the back door and they would make that car squeal. And they were doing it because they were waiting for me to have that moment where I realized that that was them the whole time, all those, for those years before I knew I was being targeted, before I knew they were basically telling me, "Hey, we've been here for years before you even knew it, dummy." And I did one day have that realization. Okay, but the point is, it doesn't have to be somebody talking to you. It could be any kind of sound. And at one point, they used to make this noise like somebody was running across my roof, and they would even, okay, and they use what you think. against you. Okay. So I was thinking, how could somebody get on my roof? The only way somebody could just get on my roof was they must have rolled the trash can over by the carport and jumped up off the trash can onto that little roof and then climbed up onto the taller roof. And like, that's like, this is what went through my mind. Okay. As a possibility of how can this be happening? And I would run outside. I didn't find anybody on the roof, but, um, but the next time they would do it, they would add in the trash can rolling over their noise. Okay. So I would think, okay. And the reason they did that, because they use your thoughts against you. So you think it's that thing. Okay. So then they will expand their whole storyline to include that thing you think it is. That's why, like, when you got to be careful, because it makes it seem like, okay, if you think it's something, okay, and then they pretend like to be that something that you think it is, then it makes you feel like, oh yeah, I'm definitely on point. I knew it. I knew that's what it was. Okay, and so it's a psychological game with them. But like when people think that the FBI is targeting them. Okay, so suddenly they're gang stalkers, pretend like they're the FBI. Of course they would, because they know that's what you thought. Okay, and that's because a lot of times people don't realize, or they don't believe that somebody knows what they're thinking. And some gang stalkers, they won't let that secret out, and because it's a different game. That when you find out that they know what you think, the game completely changes. And that's what I said earlier in this video, that the day that happened, quite a few of the gang stalkers just that went away, because it's a different game after that. So you have the ones that'll play that game with you when you don't know, and then when you do come to those realizations, when the secrets are out, it's a different game, and it's not the same game. So some gang stalkers, they don't want to play that game anymore. Um, anyway, let's see. I used to get a honking sound every time I went outside to make me think I'm being followed. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I would walk out the back door and it would, and I'm like, wow, it's 2 o'clock in the morning, 7 o'clock in any time. Like, and I would always get this squealing noise, and it was like through the woods, like on the next street over or something. And it kind of blew my mind that day, when, like, after they had started talking and we had already been through all these scenarios, and I knew what gang stalking was and all this stuff. And I think it was the one guy, he used to say, hey, and then he would do something, and whenever he would do something, he was trying to get my reaction from that. And I think it was one of those deals where he said, hey, and then it was like the car squeal, and then suddenly right then, like, I realized, like, oh, that was them. All those, for those 2 or 3 years before I even knew what was going on, that was them doing that car noise. And of course, it's not a coincidence 1,000 times in a row that something like that's going to happen. It's when you have too many coincidences, then maybe it's not such a coincidence, actually, after all. I don't even know who's targeting me, because I'm attacked with Audible V2K, which is even more worse, because I can't tell when my thoughts start and theirs begin. That's exactly right. Yeah, it gets easier. It gets easier to start to distinguish the difference. But you know what you're thinking. Okay. So just try to think clearly. And I know it's very difficult when you don't know who it is, but I can tell you that, as far as like the guys on my channel, like, I don't really know who they are. Okay. I know them from being connected and having to listen to these idiots for all these years. And I know that they're part of a certain group where I do know some of the people, but them specifically, like before this started happening, I didn't know them. I didn't know them. And maybe I've met some of them before, because um, certain times they try to act like secretive, or like, but I know the group that they hang out with. So I'm not far off from, uh, it's usually not very far. It's, if this person has your neural monitoring, then it's not likely they're going to be the ones to come on your channel and target you. But if they know this person and this person, they'll just like let them do it. And so it's usually pretty close. It's not typically going to be something like a stranger. Um, the stress that they intend to provoke is so unhealthy. Evil bastards. That's yeah. Yeah, really. I don't think they don't even care if they get people to commit suicide or anything else. Sometimes I wonder if that's their goal. Um, and they don't seem to care about like certain places where they attack me, like over like they can attack you like really bad where like your leg or something so bad that you like wouldn't be able to put weight on and you just fall down if you were walking. They can attack you that bad, but they can't sit there and just do that all the time because it's going to hurt you very quickly and it's very debilitating and that makes it obvious. But what they do is they can do little stuff like that over time and just kind of work at something, and over time it does cause injuries. And they're doing that intentionally. And that's like a long-term goal, so it's very sinister the way that they are. So, you hear me say stuff like capital punishment for broadcast torture or gang stalking. Like, yeah, I really feel that way. Um, it takes a sick person to decide um, that they're dedicated enough to hurting you because of their jealousy or whatever that is that they'll invest that much effort into it to try to hurt you over time enough like a little bit at a time so it can be not so obvious, I guess. uh it can send images into your brain. All of your dreams are from signals, not all of them. You're definitely able to think. Your brain is able to think and imagine and dream on its own, but you definitely can. Um, you know, one of my, I guess, there's no way I could prove it to you. It's more of a theoretical thing, but one of my things is the way that they broadcast and they put on the mind control thing and they can connect to like a hologram or to another person and like have that experience as if they were living as that broadcast or that person they're connected to or whatever it is that how they do their settings. um, I think when we dream they put us in that same scenario and it works even though we're not wearing the equipment. It works to some extent and it kind of like um, puts you connected to like a broadcast and interacting with them and their broadcast. And that's why I think when you wake up and you just feel like burned or like kind of scorched, almost like a sunburn or something, and it like have stuff all in your eyes, it feels like, and you literally have to just like, I have to go wash my eyes out. And they're just injecting all of this broadcast on you to put you into their mix, into their scene, their broadcast scene, where they can put that content out there. Because EMF broadcasts, like there's a lot of different things they can do with that. They could just broadcast a ball of a blob of waves or just some waves over here on this window, and then receive that back, okay, on that frequency, and have the view of that reflection, and watch that like a camera. So, and they can do a lot of things like that with um with cameras without a camera. They don't, they don't have to. People will be looking for the cameras, like the hidden cameras in their houses and all this stuff. It's because they see because of the things that they say, so that they can see, um, and you're trying to figure out why. And logically, if you see smoke, there must be fire. So we come to these conclusions, and I was no different than everybody else. I was looking around for the hidden speakers and the hidden cameras and all this stuff, but that's not how it works. They don't need any of that, and it doesn't matter where you go. And they don't have a bunch of little secret agent guys going around everywhere you go and installing a bunch of little top secret 007 cameras. They don't. They can sit at their home, okay, wherever they are, and be online, and they can make the connections to connect with you on those levels, or connect to a broadcast, or even just control it on a computer. And they're accessing neural monitoring and broadcast capabilities, and they can have a camera without even a physical camera. They can just have a view from broadcast waves. And that's not something you'll hear about, because imagine the repercussions in society when everybody finds out that anybody can see anywhere without even having a camera. It's like, you know, there's no such thing as privacy. There's really not. And I guess the hive mind is like a very serious, real thing when it comes to all of that. Um, Hey, Kev, Benson, freedom fighter from the UK. I understand what you're going through. I'm on RNM, BCI experience, experiments abuse, and the operatives will allow community conspirators to do psyops with them 24/7. So the BCI, that's the brain computer interface, and that would be comparable to what these gang stalkers actually have. And the things you might find, like for BCI online, would be more like something that's got a bunch of wires. It's a same looking kind of headgear, but it might have a bunch of wires going run into a computer thing or something. And they've done a lot of experiments with that kind of stuff where you can find plenty of real things, that information about that kind of stuff, where they hook people up to things like that, and they can think of things, or and it could be on the computer screen or something like that. Um but what these gang stalkers actually have is very minimal, and um it's just amazing. Like Sputnik, I think, went up in 1959 or sometime in the 50s, and that was the first satellite. And the race to space was, um, I think it was about being able to monitor people in this kind of way. And now, because all these scientists and stuff back in the early 1900s, they were figuring out all of these things about electricity and electromagnetics, and all of those kind of things. And then they figured out that we have a electromagnetic signature frequency, and every person's different. And then they started figuring out how to decipher those things, and that you could connect to somebody else, and it doesn't have to be uh, decoded by a computer. If you connect a person to a person, then you can understand, because we're the same species. So um, the race to get up there and put all, and now we got tens of thousands of satellites. I'm pretty sure. I know just even Starlink on itself is like over 5,000 of them. And then I think there's probably around 10,000 satellites now, and it's going up at a very rapid rate, more than it ever has before. Um, so yeah, but the BCI, that's kind of, yeah. You guys are commenting a lot now. Let's see. My old neighbors at my old apartment had synthetic telepathy, remote neural monitoring, and were idiots and told on themselves, because I would hear them talking about my thoughts through the wall. Um, Maybe, but I used to think that I would hear somebody outside, or they could even put like a shadow. Like I used to see this like shadow, and it'd be like a person standing there with like a gun, and it was a shadow like next to my door, like they were standing on the, like hiding on the other side of the door. And they can use broadcast to put shadows like that. EMF waves can be reflective. Okay, so they can cast shadows, and so they can do a lot of deceptive things. So I'm not saying it's not some neighbors through the wall or something like that, but you always had to be very careful, um, and very certain, and put together more than one thing, that oh, I heard something, it must be. You need to stack your evidence up, and um, increase the probability that you're correct about what you're thinking that it is, because gang stalkers can use every thing against you in that type of sense. So you have to be very careful with blaming people. And just coming from somebody who's blamed all these people publicly on the internet, and I've said, "Is this person?" And I'm not lying about that. And it's not because I heard them through a wall. You know, I've called people with these headset things that I'm talking about. I've called people on neural monitoring type of stuff on their phones. Um, a lot. I can't think of a million things right now, but I've talked about a million things in the 10,000 videos I got on here. But you definitely need to stack your evidence up. Uh, have you ever felt under the influence of drugs randomly? Um, you can feel what they feel. Okay, if you're connected to them and they turn up the broadcast power, and it is possible, and it just depends on how you're susceptible to broadcasts. And um, they can feel what you feel, but it's always a two-way connection. So it's definitely possible to feel or smell something, or just get a taste or something like that, or some kind of deja vu thing or something. It could definitely be related to somebody that you're connected to. um, Anyway, guys, my I got a low battery now, so I got to get up off of here. It's been over an hour, but sorry I couldn't get to all the questions. But I really appreciate you guys watching, and I'll try to come back on real soon. So I guess that's it. I gotta go, y'all. I'm gonna get some rest. Y'all stay safe out there. Thank you so much for all the support and the comments, and I'll try to get to all you guys next time. Thank you.